Part 90. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 891. Chapter 891. You can understand it, right? Okay, then I'll wait for you. Before she could finish her words, Tuyuli, I interrupted her. Come over tomorrow and we can continue to play together. Something didn't feel right today. Come over tomorrow and we can study it together. Asterisk. As soon as Chiao Mian walked out of the ward, she received a call from Mo Yesi. From the other end of the phone, a man's deep magnetic voice came over. What are you doing? Have you eaten? Chiao Mian turned her head and glanced into the ward, hesitated for a few seconds, and then said, I'm in the hospital, I haven't eaten yet, and I'm getting ready to go out to eat. In the hospital, what's wrong with you? It's nothing, Chiao Mian had already spoken, thought about it, and changed her words, I'm fine. A male artist from the same crew was injured. I came to the hospital to see him. Ready to go back now. Which male artist? Mo Yesi has always been very good at focusing on key points. Chiao Mian knew his character and had no intention of hiding it from him. After thinking about it, she told him everything that happened on the shooting scene. If he hadn't blocked that blow for me, maybe I would have. Chiao Mian took a deep breath, paused for a few seconds, and continued, so I am very grateful to him. During the time he was hospitalized, I would have come to the hospital. Stay with him for a while. Mo Yesi, I know you care about him. But now that the situation is special, I can't just ignore him. I owe him a huge favor, and I don't even know how to repay him. If I continue to do what I did before ignoring him, I can't do it. But I only feel grateful to him, nothing else. You can understand, right? She asked cautiously. Even though she knew he would mind, she still chose to tell him everything. She didn't want to hide it from him, and she couldn't hide it from him. Even if she didn't tell him, he would know about it sooner or later. If she deliberately conceals it, it will only make him feel more uncomfortable, which is not good. After she finished speaking, Mo Yesi said nothing, and there was silence on the phone for a while. After being silent for almost a minute, he finally spoke. The man's voice was low, and his tone was as gentle as ever. No other emotions could be heard. If something like this happened, why didn't you tell me as soon as possible? If I didn't make this call to you, wouldn't you have even planned to tell me? Chiao Mian, do you know that I have been waiting for your call? I thought you would call me soon. I thought you would tell me how scared you were at that time, and you would ask me to rush to you right away. You will really want to see me. I've been waiting since morning, but you haven't called me or sent a message. And now you tell me that you have been accompanying the man named Tu today? Chiao Mian, in your heart, am I still your husband? Have you ever truly regarded me as your significant other? Even if it's inconvenient for you to make a phone call, don't you even have time to send me a message? You didn't say a word when such a big thing happened, because you felt that I wasn't by your side when you were in danger, so you blaming me? Chiao Mian was confused by his series of scoldings for a long time. No, Mo Yesi, I didn't. She reacted and immediately explained, I don't mean to blame you. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 892. Chapter 892. Humph, this big pig's hooves. Also, I didn't mean not to call you. It happened so suddenly, I didn't expect it. I actually thought about telling you later, but I thought you would be worried if you knew about it, and I wasn't hurt at all, so, you don't think it's necessary to tell me? There was a trace of suppressed anger in the man's deep magnetic voice. Yes. Then even some people on your crew who have nothing to do with you know that you almost had acid thrown at you, but I, the husband, Don't know? Do you think this is appropriate? You are my wife, but I don't know about you. Don't you think it's ridiculous to know it from other people's mouths? Sorry, I, I didn't mean to. How could Xiao Mian have thought of so much? She simply didn't want him to worry at that time. She didn't expect that because she didn't call him right away, he would be so angry and concerned. Had she known what he was thinking, how could she have endured it all this time? She had wanted to call him for a long time. Such a thing happened, even if it did not cause any adverse consequences to her, she was still afraid. When she was scared, the first person she thought of was him. Want to seek his comfort as soon as possible. I want him to rush to her side, kiss her, hug her, and tell her not to be afraid. But her reason suppressed her urge to call him. Because she knew that as long as she said a word, he would definitely drop everything and rush to her side as soon as possible. But she also knew that he was not always available. He will also be very busy. He also has a lot of things to deal with. She didn't want to delay his work. I don't want these things to affect him. She was always thinking about him, but she still made him angry. Xiao Mian felt a little aggrieved after being scolded. The fear and grievance of almost having acid thrown at her suddenly came to her heart. When her eyes became sour, heat filled up from the bottom of her eyes. I really didn't mean it, I just didn't want you to worry too much. I'm sorry, I didn't know you would be so angry. As soon as the grievance in her heart emerged, she couldn't hold it back. The more Xiao Mian thought about it, the more she felt aggrieved. Tears welled up in her eyes and almost fell out. She wanted to cry so much. The man who was usually very obedient, gentle, and doting to her, and would never say a harsh word to her, was so aggressive at this moment. He was even blaming her. He became aggressive and violent. She was a little scared. When Mo Yesi is a man who is gentle, he can pamper others to the heavens. But when his temper gets louder, he is really scary. Are you crying? Xiao Mian sniffed and ignored him. She was already scared and frightened today. When she received his call, she wanted to be coquettish with him and let him coax her and say nice things to her. This way, she won't be so scared anymore. However, he didn't have a word of comfort. He is still complaining about her, saying that she did something wrong. Humph, this big pig's hooves. She doesn't want to talk to him anymore. Mo Yesi was ignored, and after a few seconds of silence, he spoke again, his tone much gentler, no longer so aggressive. Baby, stop crying. I don't mean to blame you, I'm just too worried about you, too much scared. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 893. Chapter 893. He is your benefactor now, no one can speak against him. My tone just now may not have been that good. Did it scare you? Why are you crying? Please stop crying, okay? Mo Yesi, you are cruel to me. Xiao Mian was coaxed by him, and the tears that were still rolling in the corners of her eyes suddenly flowed out uncontrollably. She bit the corners of her lips and choked out accusations. I'm scared to death. Yes, you are still mean to me. Do you know how dangerous it was? I was almost disfigured. For girls, disfigurement is a scarier thing than death. Xiao Mian still felt scared when she mentioned this matter. If I hadn't been standing in front of her at that time. She didn't dare to think about the consequences. Just thinking about it makes my back feel cold. When I was scared, I felt more and more aggrieved. You don't even know how to comfort me. You are fierce and blaming me when you come here. How could you do this? You've gone too far. I don't want to deal with you anymore. Baby, Stop crying, it's my husband's fault. Yes, he was not afraid of anything, but what he was most afraid of was Chiao Mianmian's tears. When he heard that she was crying without any complaints, he immediately felt distressed and comforted her. No matter whose fault it is. He made his wife cry, and that was his fault. Since he did something wrong, he must apologize and admit his mistake. You are not good to begin with. Chiao Mian reached out to wipe the tears from the corners of her eyes and said aggrievedly, "You are cruel to me. I'm sorry, my husband was wrong. You blame me for not calling you immediately, and you blame me for not telling you something happened, but if I didn't want you to worry and delay your work, would I not tell you? Yesy, I just don't want to affect you or bring you too much trouble. I know, baby, I was wrong." Yesy kept apologizing, his tone was extremely gentle. "I didn't mean to hurt you, I was too worried about you, so I couldn't control my emotions. You know, when I heard that you were almost thrown with acid, how scared and self-reproached I was." "You blame yourself." Chiao Mian wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and snorted, "What do you blame yourself for?" "I blame myself for the fact that at such a moment, the person who stood up for you and protected you was not me, but an outsider." Yesy's tone was a little sour. "Now, you are full of gratitude to the boy named Tuesday Humph. He was really smart, he chose to block it for you at that time, and now it's a blessing in disguise." "Chiao Mian, what is a blessing in disguise?" Yesy, don't think so, he is an artist. If it weren't for his good luck this time, he would have scars on his hands. These scars have a great impact on artists. Extremely big. I should be grateful to him. If it weren't for him, the sulfuric acid would have been poured on me." Chiao Mian was a little dissatisfied with what he just said, frowning, and said, Yesy, he blocked it for me. I don't ask you to be as grateful to him as I am, but can you not say that about him? His sacrifice this time was also great. You didn't see the pain on the back of his hand. How terrible the injury was. I knew it would be like this." Yesy was silent for a few seconds, and his tone became even more sour. "He is your benefactor now, and no one can speak against him. He saved you and blocked the sulfuric acid for you, and I feel the same way in my heart. Be grateful to him. If it weren't for him, you would be the one who got hurt." End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 894. Chapter 894, When have I never been serious? But Mian, have you ever thought about why he took such a big risk to protect you from the sulfuric acid? I don't want to say something too clearly, but if I don't say it clearly, I'm afraid someone will take the opportunity to kidnap my wife. Chiao Mian, Mo Yesy. Mian, that boy likes you, and he still has deep feelings for you. That's why he took such a big risk and blocked that for you. You also said that his sacrifice was huge. You can think of it, he must have thought of it, but he still chose to stand in front of you. What would he do in a normal friendship relationship? In front of human nature, everything is transparent. Anyone else would never do that. Face is extremely important to ordinary people, not to mention that people in your circle still rely on face to make a living. After hearing these words, Chiao Mian remained silent. How could she not know that Tu Yuli's feelings for her were not those of a normal friend? If she was not sure enough before, this time she was already very sure. But Tu Yuli was kind to her. Even if she knew what he was thinking, she couldn't just ignore him. But, I can't just ignore him. Mo Yesy, I owe him a favor. I didn't ask you to ignore him. He did sacrifice a lot this time. If you just ignore him, it would be unjustifiable both emotionally and rationally. And you? Mo Yesy seemed to smile and said, no matter what, how can you ignore it? He helped my wife avoid the disaster. You owe him, and I owe him such a great kindness. So, if you go to the hospital again, I will go with you. Whatever, I have to say thank you to him in person. Chiao Mian was stunned for a moment. Are you coming with me? Well, didn't you say that you have to go to the hospital to stay with him while he is in the hospital? I will stay with you. But don't you have to go to work? Documents can be sent to my email for processing, and meetings can be held via video as for some contracts to be negotiated. If the other party is sincere, they will naturally come to F City to have an interview with me. Chiao Mian, are you serious? Is this man crazy? Mo Yesi, when have I never been serious? That boy named Tu wants to take advantage of this opportunity to develop a relationship, but he is overthinking it. I will not let him have such an opportunity. Chiao Mian. Are you still in the hospital? Yes, yes. Then come out. Come out. Chiao Mian was stunned again. What do you mean? Mo Yesi said calmly, I am right outside the hospital gate. Should I go find you, or should you come out to find me? Chiao Mian. Asterisk. 10 minutes later, at the entrance of the hospital. Chiao Mian saw Mo Yesi standing next to the glass door at a glance. The hospital was always a crowded place, but she casually glanced into the crowd and saw him standing out from the crowd. There is no way, this man Mo Yesi is too dazzling. Even if he is dressed simply and casually, with his face, figure, and aura, he cannot be casual no matter what. Just like now, he was only wearing an extremely simple white shirt, paired with his usual black trousers, and his long and straight legs were extremely eye-catching. Chiao Mian took a quick look, and all he could see was his charming long legs. Seeing him, she wondered why the gap between people was so big. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 895. Chapter 895 Mo Yesi, don't get excited. They all have a pair of eyes, a nose, and a mouth. It can grow, but it has thousands of faces. He stood there quietly, with an indifferent look on his face, and an aura of alienation all over his body. People of the opposite who passed by him couldn't help but glance at him several times. Some wanted to go over and talk to him, but they were overwhelmed by his indifferent aura. I was stunned and gave up the idea. This man is good looking, but he looks too cold and looks like he is not close to him. Girls are inherently thin-skinned, and it's not easy to muster up the courage to speak up. When encountering a living refrigerator like him, even if you have any intention, you would not dare to go to it. At most, it's just a sneak peek and 2 secret photos. Chiao Mian stood at the door and admired her husband's beauty for a while, then slowly walked towards him. As if sensing something, she had just taken a few steps toward him when the man turned his head and looked straight at her with his deep, dark eyes. Seeing her, he, who was a living refrigerator a second ago, suddenly lost his coldness and alienation, and even his eyes softened. He immediately walked towards Chiao Mian. The man had long legs and walked quickly. He walked in front of her in a few steps. First he lowered his head and looked at her carefully from head to toe, and then stretched out his hand to pull her into his arms. Someone looked in their direction. Chiao Mian wore a mask and buried her face in his chest. She was a little embarrassed to be held by him like this in such a public place. Her cheeks were slightly hot and she said, Mo Yesi, let go, you are holding me too tightly. The man didn't seem to hear her. Not only did he not let go at all, but he hugged her tighter. Those strong arms were as strong as iron, and they wanted to be embedded in her body. Chiao Mian was so strangled that her breathing was a little difficult. She put her hand on his chest and pushed it gently. Mo Yesi, don't get excited. Isn't this good for me? Can you relax a little? I can't breathe anymore if you act like this. The man finally looked down at her and saw that her face was turning a little red from suppressing the pain. Then he loosened his arms, but still held her tight. Chiao Mian, he called her name in a low voice. Xiao Mian responded softly. Fortunately, you're okay. Mo Yesi tightened his arms and lowered his head to smell the fragrance in her hair. Thinking of the danger she faced before, he still felt scared. Fortunately, you are standing in front of me safe and sound. At this moment, he was grateful to Tuyulai. No matter what thoughts this man had towards Xiao Mian, if he hadn't been standing in front of Xiao Mian at that moment. Thinking of the possible consequences, his expression changed, and a trace of cruelty flashed in his eyes. Huang Yilin. If this woman dares to touch his people, he will let her know what it means to repent. From now on, he will never give her any chance to hurt Xiao Mian. Well, I'm fine. Xiao Mian could feel his emotional instability. She reached out to hug him and patted his back gently with one hand. Mo Yesi, can we talk somewhere else? There are a lot of people here. Everyone passing by would glance in their direction. She still doesn't like being stared at by too many people. Mo Yesi hugged her for a while, and his mood gradually calmed down. He glanced at the people passing by, let go of his hand, put one arm around Xiao Mian's waist, and led her down the stairs. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 896. Chapter 896. Don't let her come out in this life. His car was parked on the side of the road. After Xiao Mian followed him into the car, Mo Yesi did not drive away immediately. Instead, he sat in the car in silence for a while, then took out his mobile phone and made a call. Xiao Mian heard him say to the person on the other end of the phone in an extremely cold voice, "How is that woman going to deal with it now? I don't want to see her again in the future. Deploy Mo's legal team and never let her come out in this life." Soon, he hung up the phone. Xiao Mian beside her was frightened by his cold eyes and tone just now. She swallowed her saliva and turned to look at him. Mo Yesi, who did you call just now? Are you talking about Huang Yilin? Mo Yesi put one hand on the steering wheel and half squinted his eyes, still as cold as ice. Yeah. What do you want to do with her? Xiao Mian was a little worried that he would do something impulsive and break the law. The words he just said sounded a bit scary. She brought sulfuric acid with her to find you, with the mentality that if her career is destroyed, she will also destroy you and die with you. Such a woman is as vicious as a snake and a scorpion. I can't possibly give her a second chance. It will hurt your chances. I will let Mo's legal team prosecute her and charge her with the most severe crime. Then she will stay in prison for the rest of her life. Only in this way can I feel at ease. Otherwise, once she is given a chance to come out, Xiao Mian will face even more terrible dangers next time. The consequences were beyond his imagination. You asked a lawyer to sue her. Xiao Mian breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he was not trying to silence him or anything. It seems that she is overthinking. What's wrong? Mo Yesi reached out and touched her head. Don't you think this is enough? What do you want to do? No, this is good, Xiao Mian said quickly. Leave everything to the lawyer, and whatever the verdict is, that will be the verdict. Just how to judge? Mo Yesi narrowed his eyes, with a hint of coldness in his eyes. If judged according to normal rules, Huang Yilin would still have a chance to come out. How could he give this woman a chance to come out again? Since he has dispatched Mo's legal team, it is impossible to give this woman another chance to come out. Letting Huang Yilin sit in jail was a decision he made only when he was rational and calm enough. But of course he would not tell Xiao Mian these words. Well, leave it to the lawyer. Didn't you just say you haven't had dinner yet? I'm taking you to dinner now. Have you thought about what to eat? Mo Yesi took back his hand and started the car. Chiao Mian thought about it and felt that there was nothing in particular that she wanted to eat. She asked him, "Have you had dinner?" "Not yet, I plan to come over and eat with you." "Then pick a restaurant you like to eat at, I can do it anyway." "I came over just now and saw a hot pot restaurant nearby. Don't you like hot pot? Can I take you to eat it?" Eat hot pot? Chiao Mian thought about the time he went there with her and made her vomit, so she immediately gave up the idea. "I only had hot pot with Lugo last time when I returned to Yunchinj, so let's try something else." Mo Yesi didn't think too much, thinking that she really didn't want to eat. After thinking about it, he turned the car into another street and said, "Then let's eat sweet and sour pork ribs." "Didn't you say you wanted to eat this before?" "I promised to cook it for you. Yes, I have time today, so I can cook it for you." End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 897. Chapter 897. It should be wheat seedlings. Chiao Mian raised her eyebrows in surprise. "You want to cook for me?" You will do it?" Mo Yesi was silent for a moment, and then said, "Follow the recipe, it should be fine." Everything he learned was easy. Just cooking. He felt that such a simple thing was not difficult for him. It's just a matter of following the recipe, he will definitely do it. "Are you sure?" Chiao Mian didn't quite believe him. Can a person who has never cooked before eat the food cooked by him? Although he had made brown sugar water for her once before, and it tasted pretty good, making brown sugar water was not difficult at all. Everyone can do it. Dishes like sweet and sour pork ribs may look simple, but they are still difficult to make. She herself wasn't even sure she could make it delicious. Mo Yesi looked confident. "I'm sure. Do you have any other dishes you want to eat? Just tell me and I'll cook them for you." Asterisk. 10 minutes later. Mo Yesi parked the car in the underground garage of a large shopping mall. The two of them got out of the car and took the elevator to the shopping area upstairs. After getting the shopping cart, Chiao Mian followed Mo Yesi, looking at the products on the shelves and chatting with him. "Mo Yesi, have you ever visited a supermarket like this before?" "No. There are usually a lot of people in shopping malls. Especially in the lifestyle shopping area, most of the older people are shopping there. Young people like them are rare." Even though Chiao Mian is wearing a mask, you can still tell that she looks beautiful, and Mo Yesi's handsome face without a mask is even more eye-catching. Even the ant passing by him can't help but look at him a few times. Mo Yesi was not used to walking around in crowds, especially when there were a group of aunts and uncles around him. He pushed the cart to the place where vegetables were sold, and glanced casually, not knowing what kind of vegetables were on display. Took a bundle and put it in the shopping cart. Chiao Mian looked at the leeks he put in the shopping cart and asked casually, "What are you doing with this?" "Huh?" Mo Yesi also looked down at the vegetables he just took. He was silent for a few seconds and thought of a reason. "I think this bundle of vegetables looks good and green. Eating more green food is good for your body." Chiao Mian. She seriously doubted that Mo Yesi didn't even know what kind of food he was getting. She couldn't help but ask, "Do you know what kind of dish this is?" Mo Yesi pursed his lips and remained silent for a few seconds, then raised an eyebrow. "It should be wheat seedlings. However, I only know that wheat can be eaten." "Can even wheat seedlings be eaten now? Have you ever eaten this? How is the taste?" Chiao Mian. She slowly opened her eyes with a bewildered expression on her face. She stared at him again and again. After making sure that he was not joking, she almost burst out laughing. "Mo Yesi, tell me again, what is this?" Seeing her reaction, Mo Yesi immediately realized that he might have said something wrong. He was silent for a longer time this time. "Isn't it a wheat seedling, What is that? Having had excellent grades since childhood, receiving scholarships every year during college, and winning first place in countless competitions, he encountered a problem for the first time. He doesn't seem to recognize this bundle here. It obviously looks like a wheat seedling. But not what it is. Xiao Mian suppressed her laughter until her face turned red, and she was about to die laughing. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 898. Chapter 898. It was really just an accident just now. She thinks this is the funniest joke she has heard this year. Mo Yessi actually mistook the leeks for wheat seedlings. When he said the words wheat seedlings in a serious manner just now, she almost burst out laughing. But even though she thought it was funny, she also thought it was quite normal. He has grown up in Dachan City since he was a child, and he came to his mouth to open his mouth to open his mouth. It is normal to not know some vegetables. However, she still found it funny when she thought about him mistaking leeks for wheat seedlings. Ahem, these are leeks. Xiao Mian held back her laughter and took out the bundle of leeks from the shopping cart. There are no leeks in the dishes we cooked today. Forget it, why don't you find a place to wait for me? I'm going to buy some groceries. I don't even know leeks. He must not recognize many other dishes either. Xiao Mian felt that it was better for her to buy the groceries quickly by herself. Mo Yessi pursed his lips, with an unnatural look on his face. After being silent for a while, he covered up his embarrassment and said, I know vegetables. It's just that this leek looks exactly like a wheat seedling. I just admitted it wrong. Wait a minute, I'm sure I won't admit my mistake again. Xiao Mian didn't believe him at all. Just wait for me here. I'll go buy groceries. I'll be back soon, okay. She stretched out her hand to push the shopping cart over. 20 minutes at most, no, 10 minutes. You wait for me for 10 minutes, that's it? I told you, it was just an accident. After making such a stupid mistake in front of the woman he likes, Mo Yessi really wanted to find a chance to make up for it. He even mistook vegetables. Will Xiao Mian look down on him? I think he is a person who doesn't even have basic common sense. How could Mo Yessi tolerate being humiliated like this in front of his wife? No matter what, he had to put the situation back together. He pushed the shopping cart and walked forward, enduring the unbearable smell, looking here and there, choosing for a while, and finally picked up a box of ribs. As if to prove that it was just an accident, he took the box of ribs and said to Xiao Mian seriously, this is ribs, am I right? Xiao Mian. There are not many people who can recognize the wrong ribs, right? Asterisk. 20 minutes later. The two of them came out of the supermarket with a full load. Mo Yessi was carrying large and small bags in his hands, and Xiao Mian followed him empty-handed. When they arrived at the underground garage and found their car, she watched the man beside her put the bags into the trunk one by one, and suddenly a feeling of happiness emerged from the bottom of my heart. She originally thought that a man like Mo Yessi would dislike going to the supermarket to buy groceries. She knew he was misophobic. When she passed the place selling seafood just now, she saw his brows furrowed. It was obvious that he couldn't stand the smell there. But he endured it. Throughout the whole journey, there was not a single complaint, nor was there any thought of leaving early. Instead, he patiently accompanied her to chew slowly. She asked him to go out and wait for her, but he didn't want to. I bought a lot of things today, and many of them are heavy. Mo Yessi was responsible for carrying all the shopping bags, while Xiao Mian was empty-handed from beginning to end. She originally wanted to help carry a few lighter bags, but he refused. Even the bag she was carrying was helped by him. Although these were all very small things, it was these small events in daily life that made her feel how much this man cared about and loved her. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 899. Chapter 899. This is too willful. It is really a blessing to be married to a man like Moyesi. At the beginning, they had a hasty marriage because of some special reasons. She has no feelings for him at all. At that time, how could she have imagined that she would fall in love with him so quickly? And this love is getting deeper and deeper. Such a man is inherently charming, and it is easy for women to fall in love with him. He was so kind to her, doted on her and loved her so much. Unless she has a heart of stone, how could she not be tempted? She didn't regret falling in love with him at all. Because Moyesi is really a very good man. Asterisk. The residence Moyesi asked him to find was not far from the shopping mall, and he arrived in more than 10 minutes. After getting out of the car, Chiao Mian still had empty hands, and Moyesi was responsible for carrying everything. The place he asked people to find was naturally a high-end community. The most prosperous area in F City, the most high-end apartment. I am looking for a set of 2 rooms. The area is not very large, but the decoration is very luxurious and high-end. The door is equipped with a fingerprint lock. Chiao Mian watched Moyesi press his fingerprints and speak, and couldn't help but be curious, and asked, "How can the apartment here enter your fingerprint password? Then after you leave, will your friend have to change the fingerprint lock?" Moyesi opened the door, and as soon as he entered, the lights in the room turned on by themselves. He walked in first, changed his shoes, and then brought out a pair of women's slippers to Chiao Mian, and responded to her question in an understated manner, "This is my house, of course I will enter my fingerprints, and you will also enter your fingerprints later. I'll stay here from now on, don't stay in hotels anymore." Chiao Mian was stunned for a moment. "Your house? Didn't you ask your friend to help you find it before?" "Well, after I found the house that day, I bought it. By the way, the decoration here was decorated early in the morning. If you don't like the decoration style, you can have it redecorated. But if you redecorate it, I can't live here for the time being." Chiao Mian. So, when he asked someone to help him find a house that day, he didn't mean to borrow a friend's house. Chiao Mian was simply shocked. "Did you buy this house that day?" Chiao Mian. "So, you asked someone to find a house just to make sweet and sour pork ribs, then you decided to buy it on the spur of the moment." What else could she say? Just to make sweet and sour pork ribs, he bought this 2-bedroom apartment in the most prime location in the center of City F. Even though this apartment is not big, it is probably about 90 square meters. According to the housing prices in City F, the price of this 90 square meter house is close to hundreds of millions. In order to make sweet and sour pork ribs, I spent hundreds of millions of dollars to buy a house. She feels that even if she has money and is willful, she cannot be so willful. This is too willful. Hundreds of millions of money. Just to have a place to make sweet and sour pork ribs. Sure enough, poverty limited her imagination. She would never dare to think about such a thing. Is this considered spending a lot of money to win a beauty? After all, she was the one who suggested eating sweet and sour pork ribs. If she hadn't mentioned it at that time, he wouldn't have asked someone to find a house. If he hadn't asked someone to find a house, he wouldn't have bought this apartment. Come down. Chiao Mian felt so painful when she thought about it. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 900. Chapter 900. Are you sure you can do it alone? This sweet and sour pork ribs is too expensive. She suddenly felt guilty. Moyesi turned his head, looked at the pained expression on her face, and curled his lips. What's wrong? Chiao Mian, it's nothing. I just suddenly felt that this sweet and sour pork ribs meal is something I will never forget for the rest of my life. 100 million meals of sweet and sour pork ribs. Don't have any psychological burden. Mo Yesi stretched out his hand to rub her head and led her towards the room. Actually, it's not that exaggerated. I just bought this place for a meal. The location of this place is very good, feng shui not bad, buying this place is equivalent to an investment. In short, the money is well spent. The prices of apartments here will definitely increase in the future. When the time comes, you can still make a profit by selling them. Is that so? Certainly. Hearing what he said, Chiao Mian finally felt less mentally burdened. She stretched out her hand and patted her chest. Okay, then I can eat 2 more pieces of ribs later. When they arrived in the living room, Mo Yesi let go of her hand. You can play in the living room, and I'll go to the kitchen to cook. I'll call you when it's ready. Don't you need my help? Chiao Mian looked at him a little doubtfully. Are you sure you can handle it alone? Well, I can do it alone. I ask someone to prepare snacks. Check to see if there is anything missing. If you are missing anything, tell me, and I will ask someone to buy them. By the way, you can go to the dressing room in the bedroom and take a look. I ask someone to buy some clothes, let's see if you like them. As well as your daily cosmetics and some daily necessities, I have also prepared them. I will ask your assistant to pack your things and send them over in a moment. From today on, you will live here. This place is a little far away from where you are shooting, so I asked Uncle Lee to come over. From now on, Uncle Lee will be responsible for picking you up and dropping you off. Chiao Mian's eyes widened when she heard this. Did you call Uncle Lee over? Well, he will pick you up and drop you off, so I can rest assured. But isn't Uncle Lee responsible for picking you up? If you ask him to pick me up, what will you do? Uncle Lee is not the only driver in the family. Besides, I can also drive by myself. In short, you don't have to worry about my problems. I have made arrangements for you, so I have nothing to worry about. Okay, you go and play. It's 6 o'clock now, and you can eat at about 7 o'clock. If you are hungry, eat some snacks first to fill your stomach. After Mo Yesi finished speaking, he carried the big and small bags into the kitchen. Chiao Mian really didn't trust him to operate it alone. After thinking about it, she trotted to the kitchen door and poked her head in. Mo Yesi, let me help you. The two of us can be more efficient together. She was really worried whether he would set the kitchen on fire soon. Mo Yesi put the bag on the kitchen counter, turned around, walked to the door, and gently pushed her head out. He looked at her with his dark eyes and said word by word, you don't have to worry about anything, just wait for the meal. I promise, you will be able to eat in an hour at most. Chiao Mian. Really? Why, she thinks this is unlikely. This man is undoubtedly impeccable in his work. But no matter how good a person is, there are areas where he or she is not good at it. She felt that he must not be good at cooking. But the man obviously wanted to show off his skills and didn't give Chiao Mian any chance to help him. After finishing speaking, he closed the kitchen door. End of this chapter.